Hi everyone, this is Jo Smart from Fi Angels. I'm doing an extra video for you this month because I've had a request, and that request is to talk about cutting the cords and how we can do that, which is really synchronistic as a request actually, because if you've watched the last few monthly readings that I do for light workers, the same message that comes up on a regular basis is around letting go of fear so that we can move forward and detach ourselves from that fear. And cutting the cords is one of the ways that we can do that, a really effective way of letting go of fear and recognizing what it is that's causing that fear. And the fact that that message comes up on a number of readings is fine. That's to be expected when you do readings on a regular basis, because it takes time to actually put that advice into action. And things like cutting the cords are something that we have to do on a regular basis, because new cords attach or we reattach old cords. So it is something that is actually needs to be part of our lifelong journey and the rituals that we do on a regular basis. So I'm going to talk about different types of cords and different and ways that we can remove them from ourselves. So first and foremost, what is a cord? Well, a cord is a psychic attachment that we can have to people, places or situations. Now, happy emotions associated with people, places and situations, they become part of our aura. So we do still have psychic attachments to our loved ones, to our pets, to our happy places and to our happy memories. They're not anything that we need to worry about. They're things we need to nurture, and like I say, they become part of our aura. But where there's a negative energy associated with a person, a place or a situation, they can actually cause us to attach psychic cords that continue to drain us, continue to affect us and make us relive and keep feeling that those negative emotions that are associated with that person, that place or that situation. And the more energy we give that, the bigger the cords get and the more impact they have on us. Now, there are cords that we attach ourselves. So if we have had a negative relationship or a negative situation with a person and we feel like we've been hurt and we're aggrieved about something, we attach that cord. So that situation, that person continues to pull on our psychic energy, continues to drain our vibrations and lower our vibrations. But people can also attach cords to you. People can do it on purpose. People who are more attracted to the darker side of things can negatively attach a cord with a psychic attack. More often than not, people do it unintentionally. Oftentimes people do not really understand or have any idea about how powerful their thoughts and words and intentions are. And if somebody has negative feelings to you and has wished you harm, then that can form a psychic attack and create a cord between you and that person. And even though we're lovely people, we're not perfect, we upset people, but also we get a lot of jealousy around us. And people who have those negative emotions towards us, like they can unintentionally create a psychic cord attached to us in the form of a psychic attack. Equally, if you do energy work with people, or you have a healing profession, or people seek you out because as being a light worker, they're drawn to you, and oftentimes people will just offload to you, and you become a bit of like a verbal vomit bowl for people sometimes, which is, I know, not a very nice way of putting it. If you've done any kind of formal energy work, or you've been sought out and you've allowed somebody to offload onto you and you've given advice and you've absorbed some of that energy, then that person has attached a cord to you as well. And that unintentionally will continue to draw upon your light, to draw upon your energy, because it makes them feel better. So I'm going to talk about how to detach those different types of cords. And this is something that if you put into your regular practice, you'll find that your energy levels are much higher and you don't have so much of those draining experiences that can just make you feel like winded and exhausted and emotionally drained. You know, even non-spiritual people will have contact with people and they'll go, oh, I feel drained after that. And it is because there are some people that just can suck up our energies, and we need to protect ourselves from that and detach from that. And forgiveness is a massive part of this process. And I've said it before and I'll say it again because it is so important, that forgiving a person or a situation is not you saying it's okay that that happened. Because if people have behaved badly towards us, that isn't okay. But what forgiveness is saying, I accept that that happened. I accept that that was part of my journey, and I'm no longer going to let it have power over me anymore. And if we can send love and healing to that person or that situation, then that keeps the cords free, that keeps them detached, so that we're no longer drained or affected by it. And as I said, it no longer has power over us. And if it is a person who's behaved badly towards us, there's a very good chance that they've behaved badly towards us because of their own issues and their own need for healing. And so to send love and healing back to them is going to help them as much as it is going to help you. And cutting the cords with somebody isn't a nasty, you know, I do cut cords between myself and a client who's come to see me for a reading or for Reiki, because we're psychically connected in that transaction, which immediately creates a cord. And again, if I don't cut that, I can continually be affected by them, and they don't mean to do it. It's just a natural part of the process. So the first bit I'm going to talk about is kind of a cutting the cord and forgiveness ceremony. Now, the best time to do this is full moon, because the energy surrounding full moon is about letting go and it is about forgiveness. And often around a full moon, you might start remembering or dreaming about situations that have brought you pain in the past or people that have brought you pain in the past. And that is the universe telling you that you haven't quite moved on from that situation yet. So there's more healing work around that situation that's needed. But you don't have to wait for a full moon. If you feel a cord has been attached to you and there's a situation that you need to forgive, and you know you're in between the full moon cycles, you don't have to wait, because the longer you wait, the more that cord is going to strengthen its connection with you. So you can create a sacred space, you can create the energy yourself in order to do this ritual by finding somewhere quiet. Obviously I would do it in my hut. Some people have altars and sacred spaces they've set up, or just get yourself in a quiet room where you're not going to get distracted and that you're comfortable in and that has a nice energy. I always would start by smudging with sage or Palo Santo to distinguish any, to get rid of any negative energy, so that nothing nasty can thrive there, and also by welcoming in my spiritual support team, so the archangels, my guardian angel, other angels that are working with me, my ancestors, my spirit guides, any past loved ones, so anyone out there that's helping me right now with this situation. And always in this scenario where you're cutting cords and you're letting go is Archangel Michael. He is the cord cutter with his big flaming sword. So you and also thanking the ancestors and the spirits of north, south, east and west to create a sacred space. And you've also cleansed, so you're in a really good space there to be able to do this ritual. So you need to write down anything that you need to forgive. And often, because the things that we need to forgive are the things that bring us fear. So you can write yourself on that list. You know, if there's anything that you've done that you're holding on to that you regret, then put that on the list. You can put your loved ones on the list if they've affected your energy in a more negative way. And again, that doesn't mean you're letting them go. It just means you're letting that particular situation with them go. Or any one that, again, you need to forgive because they've they've acted badly towards you, or a situation that you found yourself in that's lowered your vibration. So anything that you feel that you need to forgive and let go of because it's holding you back, you write it on on a piece of paper in a list. Then what you do is you sit quietly. I always start by grounding myself, and I do that by visualizing vines wrapping around my lower legs and my feet and going down into the earth and wrapping around a crystal. That crystal depends on what I'm doing. Oftentimes I've got a massive labradorite, and I can visualize that quite easily, so I wrap it around that. Thank Mother Earth for her energy, and then I visualize light coming from that crystal, bright angelic light coming from that crystal, and moving slowly up my whole body, coming out of my hand, going up to my head, and then from my crown I visualize a lotus flower, and then that light shooting up into the universe like a big antennae, so that I can then bring down the universal and the celestial light from there, which I tend to imagine as purple, because that's the colour I see when I'm meditating or doing Reiki on people, so that's my kind of psychic colour. And then I thank, like I said, my spiritual support team for surrounding me. I then go back to my list, and starting at the top, I visualise all of those people or the situation in front of me, and I visualise the cord that is attached between me and that person or that situation, including if I've put myself in that bubble, then in that list, then I'm there. And to bring in love and compassion, because when we cut the cords and send those off, we need to do it with love and compassion and healing, particularly if one of those people or a situation that's attached to you needs healing. You have to send it away with that. You don't want to send it away with anger or frustration or, get away from me, because that's a negative, low vibrational place to be. So I visualize them in front of me, and I surround them in a pink bubble, so that I'm sending them away with love and compassion. And sometimes I'll bring blue into that if that person needs healing. And then I thank Archangel Michael for coming down from heaven with his big fiery sword, and I watch him cut each of those cords one by one. And then as those people float away, or those situations float away in that bubble, I say to that person, that situation, either out loud or in my head, you do whatever's most comfortable to you. And I say, I forgive you, as they float away. And then again, thank Archangel Michael for removing all of the cords and for protecting you from those cords reattaching to you. And then what I do, and what is part of the ritual, is to reset your vibrations to a place of gratitude. So you write another list. So before you write that other list, you burn your forgiveness list. So you allow it through the smoke to go up into the universe, and that's you handing that over and giving it back now to the universe. Obviously do it in a safe way. If you're doing it outside with a fire pit or chimney, perfect. Or bringing, it's best to do it outside. An oven dish is fine for it because they're flame proof, and make sure that you don't leave it there before you know it's definitely gone out. Just a bit of health and safety advice there. We don't want fire brigade getting called out to forgiveness rituals. So once you've done that, that's when you get to the other list, to reset yourself back to a place of gratitude. And you do that just by writing a list of all the things you're grateful for. So all the blessings in your life. So you can be grateful that you've just forgiven those people and situations. And like I've said before, when we talk about coming from a place of gratitude, or, going through all the things that you're grateful for at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that there might not be anything huge there, but it's the little things, grateful that yesterday you had a nice sleep, grateful that today you had a nice dinner, or grateful that you had a really good chat with somebody. So it's, it's all the things that brought you joy that day. And if you're doing kind of a monthly ritual, then it can be all of the things that are currently bringing you joy on a day-to-day basis. Grateful for the cuddles you've had with your children, or grateful for the cuddles you've had with your pets, or other loved ones. All the things that are bringing you joy at the time. And then we need to protect ourselves again against those cords reattaching. And so I finish by again going back into a visualization meditation where I surround myself in the blue bubble. I've spoken about the blue bubble before because the blue represents Archangel Michael, but I know other people do use cloaks where they put themselves in a cloak, or they kind of surround themselves in a shield or with angel wings. So whatever feels most appropriate for you is what you visualize. And then you want to close yourself down. So what I do is I then bring the antennae back down to my crown, close the lotus flower, and then visualize the angelic light going back down my body, back down my legs, the vines, to the crystal, and unwrap the vines, and finishing it all off with thank you angels, thank you universe for taking those burdens away from me, for allowing me to forgive and step away from that fear, and for sending love, compassion and healing to those people and situations. And then you're done. If you need to do it like quickly, if you've been I will cut the cords daily for any negative situation or emotion that I've encountered. And again, I just do that by imagining myself with that situation, with that person, imagining the cord, and again thanking Archangel Michael for coming and chopping it away. And you can do it that quickly. So I say don't wait until the full moon necessarily to do it. A ritual is a really good thing to do on a monthly basis, but a quick cutting of that cord with that quick escape, thank you angels for stepping around me now so I can cut the cord from that situation, and then you can just quickly visualize Archangel Michael and thank him for coming and cutting it and sending them away. It takes 2 to 3 minutes, and it's really important because particularly if it's one of those situations that you used in your ritual, every time you think of that situation or that person, or you have to do something about it again, you reattach the cord. But the quicker you detach the cord, the quicker you cut it, the less energy you get drained by it. So once you do your rituals, if it's been a ongoing situation, if it's been an ongoing situation with a person, those cords can get pretty big and chunky. So because there's more and more energy flowing from you to that, and negative energy flowing back the other way. So once you've done your ceremony, you're human, you might think back to that situation and feel a negative energy and emotion about it. That's reattach the cord, but it's small, so cut it straight away, so it's a habit to get into, so you don't sooner or later you will stop giving that situation or that person energy. Like I said before, if you do energy work with people, or spiritual work with people, or you are one of those people that people love to offload to, then after each of those situations, those transactions, you cut the cords with that person. And again, it's not anything nasty or mean, it's just not allowing that person to continue to drain your energy. Like I said, more often than not, they are not doing it on purpose, but you've got such a light, you've got such a wonderful healing energy in you. People want some of it, psychically they want some of it, so they unintentionally attach those cords. And like I say, in energy work and spiritual work, it's part of the process anyway, it naturally happens, so that you can do what you need to do with them and you can channel what you need to channel. So when that's happened to me, when I've had a client, or where I've just had a situation where a friend or a colleague, or sometimes even a stranger, in the supermarket, has kind of talked to you about their own pain or their own anguish, I will visualize myself and them. I will see the cord attached, and it's just for me it's if anyone's seen Donnie Darko, it's what comes out of his belly, it's a bit like that. It's kind of like a pole with different lights in it, and I just thank you Archangel Michael for cutting the cord between me and this person, visualizing that person in front of me, and I separate myself from that person and their situations for my highest good and for their highest good, and I send them away with love. And again, you just imagine Archangel Michael chopping that cord in half, it's shriveling away, and that person is then surrounded by that pink bubble that you've put them in as they psychically detach from you. If you do energy work, you can feel and you can cut psychic cords from other people. Obviously you need their permission, but it can be part, if you do Reiki or pranic clean or any of that type of energy healing with people, you're already zoned in, you're already, you know, connected and can sense energies. So what you do is you do an energy scan. Often, you know, healers will do an energy scan anyway. It's, you know, at the beginning of a treatment, to see maybe where they need to go, to see which chakras are out of whack that need some extra support and extra work. So it's the same thing. You know, I would have somebody sitting down or standing up, and I would do an energy scan, because the cords can be at the back, and quite oftentimes the cord will attach to a particular part of the body, and that person might be feeling a bit heavy there or a bit achy there, and it's because this cord is attached there. So you do an energy scan of them, and where you feel some heavy, you know, resistant energy, it's likely that the cord is attached there. So you bring Archangel Michael in, but this time you're physically doing the action. So you can either do it with a chop, you know, you can chop that. I've seen people pull the cords out, or if you've got something like this that I've shown you before, this is my selenite wands, which is a cleansing crystal, but it's also the perfect shape. And it often helps the person as well, because if they're not so practiced at visualization, having the chop or having a crystal wand or something that has physically chopped that away really kind of helps them to really feel the process. Like I say, if they're not as practiced at visualization as you are. So you will do your energy scan, you would feel that heaviness somewhere within their aura, as you'll feel it as a resistance, or you might feel like a vibration as you scan that. And then, like I say, then on behalf of Archangel Michael, I thank Archangel Michael for surrounding us now with his love and his protection. And on behalf of Archangel Michael, I remove this cord. And then that cord then is broken, and you give that person the advice and guidance of how they can do it themselves on an ongoing basis. So if that cord gets reattached, and if somebody has attached a cord to you or to somebody else unknowingly, people will feel it but not necessarily know what it is. They'll feel drained, they'll feel tired, and like I said, certain areas of their body might feel heavy and achy and just a bit weird, and so that's kind of how you know a cord has been attached, and you'd be quite easily be able to figure out what person it was or what situation it was. Obviously, if you've done a cut the cord for somebody else, you then have to cut that cord with that person. So again, you don't want them attaching to you. So I know that's been quite quick, but I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to finish by pulling an Archangel Michael card, because we've talked quite a lot about him today, and he is the cord cutter. He is our bodyguard. If ever you need protection around something or someone, then he is your go-to guy for that. When you're doing your protection rituals, which are talked about in the May reading, then again it's Archangel Michael that is the person that you're the archangel that you want to call upon. And it doesn't matter, you know, people say, oh, you know, they're busy. They are busy. They're also omnipresent. You know, just because they're with you doesn't mean they're neglecting somebody else who needs them at the time. They can be with millions of people at the same time, because they work on a completely different time-space continuum than we do here in our earthly life. So never feel guilty that you're calling on angels too much, because that's their job, okay? So I'm just going to shuffle, and I have set the intention that Archangel Michael is going to give us some advice and tell us what we need to do now around, you know, moving on from fear, letting go of fear, and cutting the cords. So any message that we need to know to help us feel comfortable at this time. Okay, So Archangel Michael is telling us that we're on the right path. So actually, the request that came in for me to do this video, and us spending a little bit more time outside of the monthly reading talking about the things that we can do to move away from fear, to really, really step into our power. Archangel Michael's telling us that's the right thing to do. And I was also kind of thinking about maybe doing another video, and as I was kind of hovering over these cards, another video on shadow self, because that's another thing that can create fear and prevent us from moving on. So that's a nudge to me that that's the right thing to do. So watch out for that video. I'll do it later in the month when I've meditated on it a bit more. But this is telling us that we're on the right path. So we're doing these cleansing rituals, doing these cutting the cord ceremony is exactly what we need to be doing to be able to take on the monthly advice that they give us in the light worker readings about moving on from fear and accepting situations in a forgiving way and letting them go and not letting them have power over us anymore. And the fact that we're called to be light workers, and everything we're doing right now is right. The Archangel Michael's come and said, you know, all of you who are called to watch this video are on the right path. So thank you, Archangel Michael. That's certainly brought a lot of hope. I'm getting a bit of a tickle, excuse me. So I hope that was helpful for you. Like I say, if one person requested that, because we're all from one source, that tells me that lots of people may be thinking about that and wondering about that and wanting to know more about cutting the cords as well. So if you have any requests of something you'd like a bit more information on, or something for me to go into more detail about, then just send me a message and I'll see what I can do. So I was caught up with you a bit sooner than I expected, but I will see you later on in the month with a video about shadow self. So take care, everybody. Love and light.